Number 2, multiplying and dividing rational numbers that are in fraction form. So this will be a little bit faster to go through because we're multiplying and dividing. 3/4 times -2/3. Well, with multiplication of fractions, you multiply straight across, numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. So in this case, 3 times -2 gives you -6, and 4 times 3 across the bottom gives you 12. 6/12. 6 divides into both the top and the bottom, so 6 divided by 6 gives you 1, and 12 divided by 6 gives you 2. So in lowest terms, we're looking at -1/2 as the answer. Part B, now we're looking at division, -5/8 divided by 1/3. Method 1, use a common denominator. So if you want to do that, 8 and 3, the common denominator here is going to be 24. So 8 times 3 gives you 24. So 5 times 3 gives you 15, and we've got a negative here. 3 times 8 gives you 24, so 1 times 8 gives you 8. So now that we have a common denominator of 24, the 24 vanishes when you're doing division this way. So it becomes -15 divided by 8. And this is an improper fraction, so we can clean that up. 8 goes into 15 once. It is negative, so we'll put a negative in front there. There are 7 left over when you take 8 out of 15, so it's 1 7/8, -1 7/8. The other option when you're doing division is to multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So if this is our question, the -5/8 stays the same. We turn the division into multiplication, and then we take the reciprocal of this, so we flip it upside down. So the 1 goes on the bottom, the 3 goes on top. Then you can multiply straight across. 5 times 3 gives you 15. 8 times 1 gives you 8. Negative times the positive becomes negative. So we've got -15/8. 8 goes into 15 once, with 7 remaining, and your 8 is in the denominator. And don't forget this was negative, so it's got a -1 in front. So as a mixed number, it's -1 7/8, which again is the same answer we found over here using the common denominator technique. And here it is again, -1 7/8. Part C, -1.5 divided by -2 3/4. So use the common denominator technique. Convert first to improper fractions. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 again is 3, so this becomes 3/2, and it's -3/2. Divided by 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So it becomes 11/4. And again, it's negative. So this is our new equation using improper fractions. Now, we're using the common denominator technique. So we've got 2 and 4. 4 is the multiple of 2. So we're going to double the top and bottom on this one. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. So this becomes -6/4. Divided by -11/4. Again, if your negative symbol is in front of the division sign, that's fine, but having it in the numerator is the same thing as well. These are equivalent. The location of the negative sign is not relevant in these situations. So when we do division this way, the denominator disappears, and we end up with -6 divided by -11. Negative divided by a negative becomes positive. So we're left with 6/11. And that is in lowest terms. There are no factors that go into both 11 and 6 other than 1. 11 is actually a prime number. Alright, so that's one technique using the common denominator method, but we can also use the reciprocal method. Back to the original question here. Again, rewrite them as improper fractions. It's the same thing over on this side as it is here. Nothing has changed at that point. Now, we take the first fraction, rewrite it. Division becomes multiplication. Then we flip this one over to use its reciprocal. That becomes 4/11. Or in this case, we've got a negative 11 in the bottom. That's fine. You can also have the negative there. So, now we multiply straight across. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 11 is 22. Negative times a negative becomes positive. So this is actually a negative 12 because it's negative 3 times 4. 2 times negative 11 is 22. Negative, negative, those cancel out. You're left with 12/22. Both of these are even numbers, so you can divide both numbers by 2, and you're left with 6/11, which is the same answer we had over here. So once again, another show you know, please go ahead and do that.